learn about book marketing and book launch tips? Then you're in the right place. Hi, I'm author Tanya Duncan Ellis, and I'm here for another episode of Write This, my author interview show. Today, I'm pleased to interview author Sylvia Chen, who has had great success with her debut picture book, Tricky Chopsticks. And I've been following her for a while. I met her in person this summer, and I am so excited to pick her brain and learn about some of her wonderful marketing tips. I think she's joined us now, so let me get her on. And I want to thank you all for joining us. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat as we go along the conversation. Okay, she's joined us. Hey, how are you doing?
How are you?
Fine. I'm so happy to have you here. I loved meeting you this summer at ALA and just following along your journey and seeing all the amazing things you're doing. You're just so inspiring to me.
Oh my goodness. I like thank you for first of all for having me on here. And I loved meeting you in person too at ALA. That was the best
Yeah,
ever. Just to be able to
you're
chat
just
in
so
person.
cute. And I love your book too. I've checked it out at my library here in Houston, and it's always in rotation. I'm always checking out stacks of books to learn from. So to let you know, it's very popular here
Oh,
because it's
that's so
always in
awesome.
the library.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you so
Okay.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, can you tell us a little bit about your author journey? Where are you from? And tell us a little bit about how you became an author.
Oh, sure. So I'm originally from Queens, New York. I was born there and then was there until college. And then I went to college in New York City. And then I actually had no idea that I would end up on this path. So I always loved STEAM when I was growing up. So science and math. And I wasn't so much into the writing stuff. Maybe it was just the type of writing that I was doing. But yeah, so I just never really thought of myself as a writer per se. And then did a lot of software consulting types of jobs and industry analyst type of things. And then eventually, what happened was we were living in Tokyo and then
Ooh.
yeah, we lived there for about 5 years, and my older son was about five at the time, and he was starting to get more interested in math, like just simple addition and things like that. And I thought, oh my goodness, it would be really great if I can find like a picture book or picture books that like integrate math and science in them. And I couldn't really, and it might have been because we were in Tokyo, but I couldn't really at that time find something that I had in mind. And of course there's so many right now, which is awesome to see. And so I decided at that point, I was like, well, why don't I just try to write something? And that
Ooh.
and then yeah, and then it just took off from there. I just couldn't stop like loving trying to write it, and I was yeah. So that's how it all started. And yeah, and then here we are now. So yeah.
That sounds really fun. So, but your book, Tricky Chopsticks, can you tell me a little bit about it? It doesn't talk about math, does it? Or
Well,
I
it
can't
has,
remember.
yeah. So, Tricky Chopsticks is about a girl named Jenny Chow who has the hardest time getting the hang of chopsticks. And when I was writing it, I always like to incorporate some kind of STEAM element. So whether it's science, technology, engineering, arts, or math. And so for this one, I was thinking, well, I feel like there's something with the manipulative of picking up chopsticks and trying to get them to work. And
Right.
so, and I wanted to figure out how to build that into the storyline. And I thought, oh my goodness, friction, because they're so slippery.
Right.
So there is an element of the idea of friction, like how can they make them less slippery? How can she make them stickier? To just pick up her dumplings and eat them too, right? And then the other thing that I thought about as I was trying to figure out the story arc was, okay, well, if she's trying to figure out how to make them less slippery, she's also still trying to use them and pick up stuff. And so I thought, oh, like just in my mind, I started thinking about tongs, and I was like, oh, well, maybe I can have the idea of a hinge come into the
Oh,
story. So there's a
that's
little bit
neat.
of, yeah. So I like, it's not necessarily like full on steam that's in my stories, but I like to just integrate something that would come to you like in everyday life, right? So
And I
that's
gotta
how that came
tell
about.
you, after I read your book, I had to get me some dumplings, and then I got my chopsticks, and I'm trying to use them because I'm not good at using chopsticks. I like to try to do them, but I get too hungry and say,
Oh,
hey, forget
yeah,
it,
that's
get the
right.
fork.
Yeah. No, I mean, I have so many adults even that come up to me saying, "Oh, I'm still trying to learn," and I feel like it's never too late, right? Like, and I always tell people, well, some people are a little bit self-conscious about how they're using the chopsticks too, because everyone's form is a little bit different. And so I just always say, like, as long as you can get the food to your mouth, like that's really all that matters. You're just
and
trying to eat your food.
And I love how your mind works with combining the science and STEM and STEAM with the picture books. Because what many people, if they don't write picture books, don't realize is all the, there's the art, the science, there's so much that goes into incorporating all these elements into the book. So
Right.
that's really fascinating to me.
Yeah, I just wanted to sort of have a more subtle way of doing it, but also in a, I mean, it's always fun to me, but like, especially for kids, for them to not think, oh, I'm learning how to make a hinge right now or something like that, which is very exciting for some kids, but maybe not for everyone. So yeah, I just wanted to make it like a little bit part of the story, but a little bit more on the subtle side. So it's not, so that we can focus on like her troubles that she's trying to master
Yeah.
chopsticks. Yeah.
And I love to see the creativity that you've brought in with your book marketing. I see behind you are those your
Oh,
giant
yeah.
chopsticks
These
you
are
have.
my chopsticks. Yeah.
Yeah, so can you talk a little bit about some of the marketing things that you've done? Because you've done so many fun things
Yeah.
with your book launch.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think basically it's I don't know, sometimes I just like brainstorm at night or random ideas pop into my head at night. And so I don't even know how for these, I just was randomly searching for I don't know. I'm not really sure what my search terms were, but all of a sudden like these giant chopstick floaties popped up into my view. And I think I maybe stumbled upon them on the Target website to begin with. And then I was like, no, 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 that's too expensive. And so I checked Amazon and it was like on super sale or something like that. So yeah, so I got those and then, but I wanted to make them my own. So I modified them with like gold tape and like even gold
Oh,
paper that was from my wedding paper that I like
why
I
would
ended to
people
change.
buy those originally? What were they sold for? I wonder
Well,
what
they're
they were.
like there's a chopsticks and sushi floaty set. So yeah, and then I just used it. I
Oh,
actually have the giant sushi too, but I haven't been able to use it quite yet. Yeah,
ah,
and then yeah, and then I figured, okay, why don't I just put tricky chopsticks on them so when I'm carrying them around, like people know a little
that
bit
is
more
so
context.
cute.
Yeah, and then there's like a
Yes.
QR code on it just in case. Yeah, and then it's just like anything that grabs my attention, but I try not to spend too much on any of the stuff that I get or make it reusable so that it's, so I'm making the most out of like whatever I ended up paying for it. So yeah.
And what are the reactions of readers and people who participate in your book events when they see that?
Yeah, they generally kids, even at school events, they're like, "What are those giant chopsticks for?" And I'm like, "Oh, you'll wait, they'll be very nice." I have a very like a fun chopsticks challenge that I do. Like I challenge the kids, and then like I, I always put my best effort, but they're very good with their chopsticks. So, and it's hard to pick up stuff with the giant floaty chopsticks because they're so light.
Mhm.
Yeah, so like they've really liked it. I was just at a book festival this weekend, and someone pointed out they're like, "Oh, I like your jumbo chopsticks." It's just like something a little bit extra to catch attention, but also super fun and just I don't know, it just brings me joy. So whatever brings me joy, that's what I try to do for any of my marketing and launch stuff.
Right. So I guess is any other tips you'd give for authors that are trying to come up with different things that can attract
Yeah, I
readers?
mean, I think I definitely try to tie things directly to my book, of course. So anything that had to do with chopsticks. So I like for the swag that I created, I had some lightweight swag that I got on orientaltreating.com. Like they had a super sale one time. I wish I had gotten more pairs of it. But anyway, these were lightweight chopsticks and little and paper sleeves.
Mm.
And so those
Ooh.
yeah, it's like really low cost, but also I modified it with like gold labels with tricky chopsticks. So that just made it a little bit more unique, I guess, versus like, I don't know. I just like to try to make things a little bit more like an extra special for that respect. And then
Mm.
what else did I do? So for example, did that. And then for my launch, I created a pack like this. So it's a
Ooh.
swag pack. And then basically anyone who ordered through my local bookstore, they would get the bookmarks, like book plate, the disposable, like the lightweight chopsticks, and then a couple of stickers in the back. And so that was really nice. And I did ask the bookstore for permission because I knew that it would add a little bit more logistics, but they were happy to do it, which was really great. So
Mhm.
yeah, and then I think like at one point I did like a giveaway where for the writing community, especially like I included extra points if they were able to pre-order the book and things like that.
That's a good
But
idea.
it was pretty
I
much,
love that
yeah, it's pretty
swag
much
pack.
open to everyone because I think like there's some rules and the regulations for giveaways where like you can't like require people to buy anything. So I always try to have an option for people to earn it different ways, like even through library requests or whatnot. And then
Mhm.
they earn points and then I do a random pick of the winners. So yeah. So yeah.
So with the giveaways with that swag pack,
Yeah.
there's rules, or we can't just give that to the bookstore.
Oh, for the bookstore, I think I reached really high. I was like, for the first 100 pre-orders, but actually, like it did pretty well. Like I don't think we necessarily reached 100 by the end,
Mhm.
but it was they were really really happy with how it went, and I was too because people I mean people were so supportive. So
Mhm.
that was the best to begin with. But yeah, so for the bookstore, that was like a pre-order um
Mhm.
promotion, and then once it ended, then they just gave it out to like their local customers, like for any of the
That's
activities.
nice. That looks
Yeah.
good. And you seem to do a lot of bookstore events. So do you like that, or do you think those are
I
helpful
do like it.
for authors?
I like, well, I really, really enjoy supporting local bookstores. So even like we just moved from Seattle to New Jersey,
Mhm.
and or from Kirkland area to Essex County, New Jersey. And so I've been trying to go to the closest bookstores and make connections and introduce myself and see if they might want to do something sometime, or even for me to sign a copy. I'm so happy to do that just to support them.
Right.
So yes, and then sometimes just visiting the bookstores, sometimes it turns into something because it just depends on like what their style is and what they're interested in doing. So yeah, so I try to whenever I'm like within close to home, that kind of radius, or also if we're like visiting New York City, like I've dropped by bookstores there to try to do stuff, and that's how like some of my events came about too.
Right, because you're from New York, so okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm like, man, she wears me out when I see all
Well, you
that
do
you're
a lot
doing.
too. I love seeing what you're doing too.
I'm like, I'm getting tired. Yeah. So what about your upcoming projects? What books do you have? I know you had a new book deal announced not long ago.
Yeah, so my next book is coming out in fall 2025. It's called Sparkles for Sunny, a Lunar New Year story. And it's going to be published by Flamingo Books, which is the imprint of Penguin Random House. Um, and then, yeah, and so I just got the final art
Oh,
yesterday
oh, I
from my
love that.
editor, and the illustrator. Hopefully, I'm saying her name right. I really should double check with her, but it's Tai Mi Fong, and it's just beautiful. It's so
Oh, I can't
gorgeous, and I'm
wait.
yeah, it's so exciting. And yeah, but basically, so that story, it's different characters, different illustrator, and so because it's different book.
Mhm.
But yeah, so that story is about a girl named Sunny who is the youngest of three daughters, and she is just so tired of wearing hand-me-downs all the time because she just gets those hand-me-downs from her sisters for everything,
Mhm.
including her qipao, which is her Chinese traditional dress. And
Oh,
so for the New Year coming up, she just wants to make it her own, but she's trying to figure out how to do it without breaking the family traditions because this is part of their Lao family way. So yeah, so that's the book, and then she figures out how to do it in her own way, make her outfit her own without like making her parents mad or anything. So
wow. And I
yeah.
love the title, and then that's a new take on the holiday. So that's
Yeah,
wonderful. Yeah.
definitely. Like I really didn't I wasn't sure if I'd be able to create a book that had a Lunar New Year theme. So it's just so exciting
Mhm.
for it to have gone through and for it to come out pretty
Yeah.
soon. So
Yeah,
yeah.
because reading all these different books about different cultural holidays and things I don't know much about, I enjoy that because I learn about so many different things
Yeah,
too. So that's cool.
same. I know. I feel like I learned so much through everyone's picture books. There's so many wonderful ones out there. So Yeah.
Yeah. Now, speaking of that, you have some little show or something on your Instagram where you review different picture books. So, is that part of your marketing or part of your just research and creative
Yeah,
process?
I think I started that a couple years ago. And I think at that time, I Instagram was such a it was such a mystery to me. And so this was before Tricky Chopsticks was even close to coming out. I had already announced the deal, I think. But I thought, okay, I need to do something. Like I just need to get more comfortable with posting on social media, creating content. And also I wanted to do something that would provide back to the writing community.
Hmm.
And so I was brainstorming on what I could do to like connect with people more, support them more and whatnot. And so then all of a sudden PB Study Buddy popped into my mind and I thought, okay, well, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do the reviews? Like I always like to do things a little bit differently. So I didn't want to do just the the standard type that like a lot of people do, which is great,
Hmm.
but I just want to have a different, maybe more visual style. And so started brainstorming and then I thought, okay, I have this idea of like the 5 different things that I could feature for the books, each one that I feature and just highlight it. And then the one that I got really excited about was the emoji arc, where I map the emotions that I personally feel as I'm
That's
going
cute.
through these books. Yeah, and
Hmm.
then it's going to be different for everyone, of course, but I just thought it was sort of interesting to take a look at it in that way and just see it a little bit differently.
Right.
So, yeah,
So,
yeah.
listening to you, it just seems like you're kind of having fun, doing things that resonate with you, and it's just an organic process with your marketing.
Yeah, I think so because I never want to feel like I'm forcing anything too much and I just want to do it like my own style and just like sort of just go with the flow and see how things turn out, but also like embrace all the joy that's within it and try as much as I can to share it with everyone else and like uplift others that I can. Like there's so many wonderful picture books out there, so the only thing that I feel bad like one of the things that I feel bad about for PB Study Buddy is like I can't feature everyone's books because there's so many wonderful ones out there. So I just
Right.
try my best and I try to lift up like more, AAPI creators as well as BIPOC creators and other underrepresented
Hmm.
creators, as well as like just, other books out there, just to not only do that, but like have a pretty balanced list or a list of features that I put out.
Hmm. And what I like about it is we always are reading picture books, so that's a way to help you. That's part of your process anyway, reading all the picture books,
Right,
and then you
right.
have a fun little thing to do along with it,
Yes,
and helping other people.
definitely, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I figured I'm studying these books anyway, so I might as well like feature the ones that like sometimes they're like mentor texts for even my own work. So it's like nice to analyze it and then also to be able to share how I'm analyzing it.
Hmm. Because listening to you, it's making me feel like, yeah, when people are struggling with marketing or coming up with ideas, just kind of look at what you enjoy, what you're already doing, and try to incorporate that into your marketing
Yeah,
efforts.
I think so because like otherwise it's not as exciting, right? So if there's something that sparks joy or something, some random idea that you just want to run with, and everyone's so supportive that I think like usually it ends up turning out just fine.
Right.
So yeah, I would definitely just or whatever your talents are. So I really like to make things. I like to create things. So like even some of my swag are like little lucky stars that that the kids take to go with them. And I sometimes make big ones and mini ones and things like that. But I like to make stuff with my hands. So if someone's like trying to figure out okay how they're gonna market it, like think about what your strengths are and then try to work that into your approach, I guess.
Yeah,
So
because I have some upcoming holiday events, and just listening to you is making me think, yeah, I could do this, I could do that,
yeah.
some other things. So this has been a great time to get some
Oh,
information for people
that's
listening.
awesome. I'm glad to hear
Now,
that.
what upcoming projects do you have? Or do you have
Oh,
anything
so
you
yeah, I really need to get back to writing
need?
more. So I have a bunch of projects that I have in mind that I just really need to hone down and get to work on them. Yeah, like with the whole family move from West Coast to East Coast, it's like
Oh,
thrown our
wow.
lives
Yeah.
into a loop. So I've still been doing a lot of marketing stuff because it brings me joy and it keeps me sort of tethered. But I really am hoping that I can get my life in a little bit more balance to be able to do like a lot more of the writing too and get back to it. Yeah.
That's what I found with my book launch. It was where there's all this energy going to the launch to getting that book promoted. So
Right.
that can take away from that quiet time or time when you're doing your writing.
Yeah,
So that's good.
exactly. So yeah, I think I feel like I'm always learning. So right now I'm learning how to better balance my time for all of it because it's just
Hmm.
gonna become even more, I think.
Right.
But yeah, yeah. And then actually so my family is planning to visit Tokyo over the winter
Ooh,
break. So I just reached out to bookstores there because I'm hoping that I
right.
can.
Great
Yeah,
idea.
so I have a little bit of positive movement for that, which is really great and exciting. And so, but once I'm there, then I'll be able to, I don't know, hopefully share what like at least like some copies that I signed there, so that people know where to find it if they're in Tokyo. So
And
yeah.
that's a good tip you're sharing there. It seems like when you go to different places and travel, you kind of touch bases with local bookstores wherever you're going. So that's a good
Yeah,
way.
yeah, that's right. Like
Mhm.
even for NCTE, I reached out to a bunch of because I used to live in Boston for over 10 years. So I'm hoping that I can connect with bookstores there too. I did like there's already one bookstore that responded positively, which is great. And
Mhm.
then just see if what's possible while I'm there anyway. So yeah, like leverage your time, leverage where you are, and try to maximize without being too busy.
Right.
That's the one thing. Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
I guess too, because you're doing things that's fun, it's not as much drudgery because you're having fun with what you're doing. Because
Yeah.
you look like
Yeah.
you have so much joy when I'm seeing, looking at all that you're doing. So that's good.
Yeah, I there's one bookstore that I walked into and they're like, well, sometimes we don't let people, sign their books, but they're like, but you're so excited, so please. Because I just like always walk into a bookstore and I'm just like so excited to be there and so
Right.
excited, especially if they bring in a copy. And so that was really kind, but also funny. So
Okay.
yeah.
So any final tips you can give authors if they want to boost their marketing efforts or get more sales during the launch period?
I think embrace the joy. I think support other people because I mean we're all in it together. It's like such a long process and such, like we have to build up our patience and everything. And so for everyone to be supporting everyone and giving it forward is I think one of the best things about our community. So I think yeah, and then that way like it can be more of an organic and fun process for everyone together.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm so glad to get to talk to you. I'm glad I got to meet you in person this summer.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun to hang out with you
I
and
know.
wish
I
you
hope.
continued
Yeah.
joy and success with all you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much, and same to you. Like I'm always inspired by all your posts. I really hope we have a chance to meet in person again and hang out and chat more. And yeah, no, I always love seeing what you're doing because you're doing a lot of school visits, and so I find that very inspiring too.
Yeah, yeah, it's been fun. Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad that you came. Now, tell people where they can connect with you. Where can they buy their books and follow you?
Yeah, so you can buy Tricky Chopsticks anywhere that you
Okay.
prefer to get your books. And then, of course, borrow it from the library too if you'd like. Yeah, I'm everywhere on social media pretty much. Mostly on Instagram. That's probably my strongest right now. Twitter, Threads, Blue Sky, a little bit of Facebook. I'm trying to get more comfortable with that because it used to be like my personal network.
Right. Yeah.
But now like it's starting to like blur more for personal writing community and we're all friends. So yeah. So
Right.
that's where I can be found. LinkedIn. Like I don't really do TikTok too much. That was really into
You
so yeah.
have cute little
A
videos. You
little
could just post
bit, but
those.
yeah, like I don't know, just like yeah. That one is like a whole different animal to be able to get your content in within the first like 2 to 3 seconds. I need to
Right,
figure that
right.
one out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yeah.
want to thank you so much for taking this time, Sylvia, and I'll be following and hope everybody else will follow along your journey. And I can't wait to see your new book next year. So that's going to be exciting.
Oh, thank you so much, Tanya. I really appreciate your support and you're amazing. So thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time for another episode of Write This. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.